April 1st, 2006, Columbus, Ohio. It was the beginning of spring break for Ohio State University. A 27-year-old medical student named Brian Shaffer decided to go out and celebrate with his close friends. His life seemed to be on the right track, but underneath the surface, he was carrying a heavy emotional burden. Only 3 weeks prior to this night, his mother had passed away from cancer. Brian was devastated, but he tried to put on a brave face for his friends. They started their night at a popular local spot called the Ugly Tuna Saloona. The bar was packed with college students, the music was blasting, and the atmosphere was chaotic. Security cameras were actively monitoring the only main entrance and exit of the establishment, recording everyone who walked through those doors. As the night went on, Brian got separated from his friends inside the crowded bar. Around 1:55 a.m., just minutes before closing time, the security cameras outside the entrance caught Brian. He was standing near the escalator, talking and laughing with two young women. After a brief conversation, Brian said goodbye, turned around, and walked back inside the bar, disappearing from the camera's view. This would be the last time anyone would ever see Brian Shaffer alive. When the lights turned on at 2 a.m. and the bar closed, his friends waited outside for him. They searched the crowd, called his phone multiple times, but there was no sign of him. They assumed he had simply walked home without telling them. By the next day, panic began to set in. Brian missed a flight he had booked with his girlfriend to go to Miami. His car was still parked right where he left it near the bar. His apartment was completely untouched, with no signs of a struggle or preparation to leave. The Columbus Police Department launched a massive investigation, and what they found baffled the FBI. Investigators analyzed every single second of the security footage from that night. They carefully counted every single person who entered the bar and every single person who left. Hundreds of people were seen walking out at closing time. But Brian Shaffer, his face never appeared on the tape again. Somehow, inside a secure building, Brian vanished into thin air. Welcome to the Shadow Evidence. Today, we dive deep into the shadows of the man who walked into a bar and disappeared forever. To understand how impossible this case is, we have to look closely at the layout of the building. The Ugly Tuna Saloona was located on the second floor of a modern commercial complex. To enter or exit the bar, patrons had to use a single escalator that led straight to the main doors, which were monitored by the camera. There was a rear exit, but it was strictly restricted. The area behind the bar was undergoing heavy construction and renovations. This exit was used only by construction workers, and walking through it was incredibly dangerous and difficult. Furthermore, the construction site led out to an area that was also surrounded by other security cameras from neighboring businesses. It was a concrete labyrinth. It was virtually impossible to exit through the back without being caught on some camera or being noticed by witnesses. The police did not take this lightly. They brought in tracking dogs, searched every square inch of the building, inside the walls, the ceiling tiles, and even emptied the commercial trash compactors. They scanned the entire construction site with infrared cameras, looking for any sign of a body hidden under the newly poured concrete. They found absolutely nothing. There was no blood, no signs of a physical fight, and no electronic trace. Brian's credit cards and bank accounts completely froze that night and have never been used since. It was as if his physical existence ceased to exist the moment he stepped back inside the bar. Over the past 2 decades, this case has generated endless theories, each one more disturbing than the last. The first theory suggests that Brian planned his own disappearance. The immense pressure of medical school, combined with the sudden and painful death of his mother, might have caused a psychological break. Proponents of this theory believe he managed to slip past the cameras by changing his clothes, putting on a hat or a disguise, and walking out in the middle of the crowd. Some believe he used the dangerous construction exit to escape into the night, leaving his old identity behind to start a new life in another country. However, his family strongly rejects this, stating he had everything to live for and deeply loved his girlfriend. The second theory is much darker and suggests foul play inside the building. Could Brian have stumbled into an argument with someone inside the bar or the restricted construction zone? Some investigators wonder if he was accidentally killed inside the establishment and the staff or someone with access to the building panicked. If that happened, they would have had to hide his body perfectly within the construction materials or smuggle it out hours later when the cameras were no longer being watched. Yet, to this day, not a single person out of the hundreds present that night has ever come forward with any information, and no physical evidence of a crime has ever been detected inside the property. There is also a chilling detail regarding his phone. Months after he disappeared, his girlfriend tried calling his cell phone. For months, it went straight to voicemail. But one evening, the phone actually rang. It rang 3 times. The cell phone provider tracked the ping to a tower in Hilliard, Ohio, a few miles away. But the phone was turned off immediately after, and the police were never able to find it. Was it a glitch in the cellular network, or was someone out there still carrying Brian's phone? To this day, the disappearance of Brian Shaffer remains one of the most chilling cold cases in American history. The cameras proved he went in, but they could never prove he left. What do you think happened to Brian Shaffer? Did he find a way to escape and start over, or did the shadows of that bar consume him? Leave your theory in the comments below. If you want to uncover more mysteries hidden in the dark, make sure to like this video and subscribe to The Shadow Evidence. See you in the next case.